Thank you for joining us. I am very pleased to give you a look into the history of the Brattleboro Outing Club, and four past presidents are here with me. They include Phil Dunham, to my immediate left. To his left, Jerry Sears. To my right is Dick Nelson. And to his right is Phil Feidelsight. Thank you all. I really am honored to have this chance. Maybe we could go around the room and I'll talk to each one of you about your time as president. And why don't I talk to you, Phil? A lot of people know of your prowess with skiing and things over the years. Give us an eye view of when you were president of the Outing Club and how long you were involved.
Well, of course, I've been a member of the Outing Club for about 75 years, but
You're only 50.
My term of president has been a couple of times, and first time I think it was in I think it was what I have to rethink. It was earlier, 1989, okay, to about 1993, and that's when Phil Feidelsight came in, and at a later time, in 1999, I started again and went to 2003. So those are my terms.
All right. Jerry, how about you? When were you president of the group?
Well, my memory is short, but I was only president once, or for 2 years, from I think it was 1972 to 74. And it was back in the old days when I think Phil was still the flying dentist at the time, a famous ski jumper.
Okay. Now, Dick, what about you? When were you president of this august group?
Well, I've been trying to reflect on those years. I was a long-running vice president, and I think I was president along in the late 60s, at 65, 66, along in there until about 1970, something like that.
Okay. And Phil, what about you?
Well, of this group, I'm the latest arriving.
You're the kid.
I only got to town in 1970 and became involved with tennis and then the Outing Club, and was president for the years 1994, 95, and 96.
All right. So I know the Outing Club offers a number of things. How many of you have been involved with the ski programs, both the ski jumping and the cross country? Phil, I know you have.
Yes, well, I know Dick has as well. He was very active in alpine skiing and cross country, and so he could tell you quite a bit about our relationships with hogback and running junior ski races and such like.
You were part of it then too, so yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't remember that Hogback Mountain was a very thriving concern. The White family did an amazing job with it in Marlboro, but what was your relationship to Hogback, and give me an idea of some of the programs that ran there?
Well, one of the ones that most people remember, because it started with when they were young and in high school or even younger, the Outing Club used to sponsor a bus that would go to Hogback every Saturday morning during the ski season, and it would start at one end of Brattleboro and tour the town, picking up kids on the corners and take them to Hogback, and not necessarily with any adults, although they could go as well, but it was mainly the kids. And they would spend the day, and of course in the early days we didn't have automatic packing up there, so they were obligated to do some sidestepping and break up the snow. But they would stay there till 4 o'clock. The bus would be there to pick them up, and they could head for home. And it was such a wonderful place because the parents didn't really worry about, you know, how they were taken care of during the day. They just seemed to be, it was a safe place to go, and the White family as well as the Hamilton family and would kind of look out for the kids. So that was a very big part of the outing club and the Hogback ski area.
So how involved were you in some of those ski programs, Dick?
Well, I think it's well to recognize that the Brattleboro Outing Club grew out of ski jumping in the very beginning, but then it began to branch out, and we ran we had a team in the Southern Vermont Junior Council, which the rest of the mountains in the Southern Vermont had teams, and we'd race every Saturday. And that grew to the point where we had Buddy Warner leagues on both Hogback and the mountain up at Maple Valley. And then there are successors that took over those programs after I had to fade out. And we also ran a Eastern sanctioned double slalom on the Sugar Slope, and that was it was to make money for the outing club. There was an entry fee, and we ran about, we ran 80 kids down those slopes.
Or
more. I don't know. We send them down 2 at a time on 2 courses. And, it's a long day when you get out there in time to, I didn't set courses, but I marked the spots where they were in case they got knocked down, and put numbers on the gates, and tallied, stayed there until the scores were tallied and the results printed. And especially for Ski Meister, that's for a local competition, and the alpine events were held up there. The slalom on the Sugar, and the downhill on the Racquetball, and jumping is on 2 different jumps. We had a junior jumping program. We had a hill, we called it the Latches Hill, which was shortened by the shopping plaza and the interstate highway. I could go on for a long time discussing.
And I could listen to you for a long time. But I want to also focus here on Jerry and on Phil. Gentlemen, what were your extents of involvement, some of the programs you were involved in during your tenure around the outing club? First, you, Jerry.
Well, thank you, Dick Nelson. Dick was the one who got me involved. He drafted me as a volunteer coach, and I ended up coaching his Southern Vermont Junior Council team for many years. I was involved, or the club was involved in the formation of the Buddy Warner League when that first got off the base, and that was an on-hill group where we were able to get our Brattleboro kids into beginning racing programs at Hogback. So I was very involved with that. When I took over as president, I was really, really fortunate that it was one of the heights of the BOC in terms of winter activities at the time. The ski jumping program was really strong. I believe during those years we held a national ski jump competition here. I think it was still called a 70-meter hill at the time. So it wasn't ski flying, it was ski jumping. Big deal. I mean, 10,000 people up there, huge. Bigger in terms of crowds than you'll see today, or that we've seen recently. There was an active cross-country program. Most people have heard of a young lad who came out of our cross-country and jumping program, who started as a jumper, turned as a did jumping and cross country, and then he gave it up for cross country. And he won the first silver medal in the Olympics. Bill Koch, a local boy. Dick mentioned the Ski Meister, which was at the time a big deal. The local kids liked to compete, and it was a chance to compete in all 4 events: cross country, alpine, 2 events in alpine, and jumping. And I remember the year after Bill Koch won his silver medal, he came back to Brattleboro to celebrate a bit, and they talked him into doing the Ski Meister. Needless to say, he won the cross country. I don't remember if he won the jumping or not, that portion, because we had some good junior jumpers. And he did pretty good with the alpine for a guy who hadn't been on the skis for many years. And again, during that time, we had the fortunate experience of entering our club in a regional or eastern competition for ski clubs. And we were awarded the best ski club in the Eastern Amateur Ski Association at the time, which, again, because of some of the people here, that association was located in Brattleboro for a brief period of time during its heyday.
Phil, final sight, I want to get to you because you are known a lot for tennis, and people may or may not know that the Outing Club has a rather extensive tennis and racquetball program. So how did you get involved, and what are some of the things you've been involved with?
Well, just a slight correction,
right.
Tim. Racquetball and squash are a separate, not part of the Outing Club.
Okay, appreciate that.
But the tennis program is, and we now have 6 clay courts on Cedar Street. And I think, you know, one of the contributions that I made to that program was organizing it, getting some leagues started, and as Phil said earlier, seeing that the successors to that program were people who would work on it, and they have to a tremendous extent. So right now we have a very active junior program, and
How important is it to get young people involved in tennis at an early age? Because quite frankly, you see what goes on TV. You occasionally read about the high school teams for tennis, but you never really see how kids get their start.
it's always better for a community to get kids interested at an early age. As far as the Brattleboro Outing Club is concerned, we make it possible for kids to join our club at a minimal fee so they can play tennis or ski or cross-country ski. And that's our primary objective. I don't think we're going to be producing any world champions coming out of the Brattleboro Outing Club, but and we do have an opportunity for people, no matter what age they are, to play tennis at the Outing Club and enjoy it.
But the nice thing is that tennis, as well as all the skiing programs you mentioned, with the exception of course ski jumping, because I don't see any 70-year-old ski jumpers, these are things that you can carry with you for a lifetime, as opposed to team sports where you can't really find 20 people to go out and play football with at a moment's notice.
That's true. Phil Dunham was an excellent tennis player for many, many years, and I believe Vermont state champion at one time.
One time.
One time. Played with Don Budge when he came to town.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that incident. He was working, I think, for the Youth Tennis Foundation, and Don Budge was long past his prime, but he was still very good, and so he was still well known, and so he would always, after he put on his clinic, he would play in a doubles match with 3 of us from the local club. But it was quite the tennis program has been going for a long time. The fact of the matter is, in the early days of the high school, when I was in high school, there were no other tennis courts in town. So the high school used the clay courts of the Brattleboro Outing Club, and they gave it up for
I'll
that.
stop you all here because At this point, we're going to pause in our program and bring some other people in. You are listening and watching an oral history of the Brattleboro Outing Club here on BCTV. And continuing with our oral history project of the Brattleboro Outing Club, we have 4 brand new guests, 3 past presidents, and an extremely active member and volunteer. To my immediate left, that active member and volunteer, Mary Dunham. To her left is Dave Newmeister. To my right is Phil Steckler. And to his right is Dave Plumley. Thank you all. Now, I want to find out when the 3 of you were president, and then I want to find a bit more about the flying dentist from the woman who knows him the very best. So, Phil, if you could tell us when you were president of the Outing Club.
I was president in the late 70s, and that's the best I can do for you, probably for 2 years.
Well, that's okay. There are plenty of people in Brattleboro who barely remember the 70s, so
Most
that's fine. Dave, what about you?
I joined the board in 2002, and I've been president from 2003 to currently.
All right, Dave Newmeister.
I don't remember the years exactly, but my guess is it's between Jerry Sears, who was in your last panel, and Phil Steckler, who is in the late 70s, so mid-70s somewhere.
And Mary, how long have you and Phil been active with the organization? And I understand you're still active today.
Yes, I would say so. Well, we love the Brattleboro Outing Club. We were married in February 5th in 1989, and we came to Brattleboro. Phil was born in Brattleboro, went to school here, but I came from New Jersey, and I learned to ski on my honeymoon, and I've been skiing for years. I couldn't join the Phil Dunham family. I didn't take up ski jumping, though. I let Phil do that. And we have 4 sons. And of course, I always went to all the ski jumps, and I crossed my fingers and crossed my toes. But he jumped and was fine and loved it, and it was his hobby. And when we were married, we were married February 5th, and went to Canada, and I learned to ski. Came back just in time for the Brattleboro Ski Ball, where I wore a black lace long dress. Was dressy in those days. And then the next day was, of course, was the ski jump. And that was the big event. We wanted to be sure to be here. And that year they didn't have snow, and they didn't know how to make snow. So as I understand what happened, they took a whole bunch of trucks, a whole bunch of strong men, and strong shovels, and went off into the mountains, shoveled snows into the trucks, came back and put it on the ski jump. We had our ski jump. Now, I'm not positive that's fact, but I think it is.
Wow. So what was it like being married to such a colorful guy, especially when he has the nickname of the Flying Dentist all these years?
Well, it was fun. We had some very good friends. We lived on New England Drive. We had some very good friends that we would do skiing events with. And so they had cousins that visited them from Minnesota. Well, the years have gone by, maybe 10 years has gone by, and our friends had moved away, but the cousins wanted to reach Phil, the Flying Dentist, and they didn't have a telephone number. And this is a true story. They called the operator and they said, "I would like to speak to Phil Dunham, the Flying Dentist." Now today, that wouldn't do you any good. That lady knew who the Flying Dentist was. She says, "Oh, you mean Phil Dunham." They got connected, the people came up, and they wanted to come see the ski jump that year. And it all worked out because he was known thing.
You bet. I might inject here if I
Please
could.
do.
That Mary not only has a tradition with the outing club through her husband Phil, but Mary was very instrumental in ski lessons through the outing club for many, many years. Instrumental in the after-school program for kids to learn to ski.
This is downhill skiing.
Yes.
And also cross-country skiing.
She deserves a lot of credit herself, in addition to what she does with Phil, for her skiing lessons. I'm sure there are hundreds and hundreds of kids in the Brattleboro area that learn to ski because of Mary Dunham and Phil Dunham, and particularly Mary.
Well, Phil, we really worked together.
They did, that's
Yeah.
true, but you were the one that kept pushing and pushing to find some skis when people
Oh,
outgrow
we would
equipment.
give the kids.
Yes.
We'd take them to their schools, try on their ski boots, and then they could take them home, and they could keep them. Some of them did.
Yeah, until the next winter, and then they would hand
Yeah.
them down to someone else, and that's
And
Mary
then we
Dunham
pass
was very
it
responsible
to somebody
for that.
else.
Yes. Yeah.
We see that this is why we want to find out all about this. Dave Neumeister, always a pleasure. What were some of the things you were involved in during your tenure?
Thank you, Tim. I want to add just one last piece. I still
Okay.
enjoy seeing Phil and Mary skiing in winters today, yet at Stratton on a sunny day. They'll be up there skiing, and it's always delightful to see the two
Well,
of you
I
up there.
didn't ski this year, but I did up until then.
Well,
All right.
I know you're a regular still. I was involved in the mid-70s. I grew up in Brattleboro, so I grew up with the outing club, learning to ski on a ski bus that went from Brattleboro to Hogback for lessons.
Every Saturday morning.
Yes. So I learned to ski through the outing club. I learned ski jumping through the outing club, and cross-country skiing and downhill skiing. So when I came back to Brattleboro to live with my family, I got involved in coaching kids myself. This would have been 1970 to 1980. I was quite involved with high school age kids and with Buddy Werner League, which is a elementary school skiing league for kids that had advanced from Mary's Learn to Ski program to wanting to ski race program. So during that time, I was president of the outing club, and we were involved in a lot of programs for kids at Hogback initially, later on at Maple Valley. I also was involved in high school ski team coaching in the mid-70s, and we had a number of good skiers that would ski for the outing club on weekends and U.S. Ski Association races, and ski for the high school on Wednesdays and Saturdays on the high school ski team. So I was involved in tennis as well, summer programs and tennis lessons for kids. There's a long tradition of people in Brattleboro volunteering to help people learn sports and outdoor activities through the outing club.
We really are very lucky. I want to shift focus to Phil Steckler. Phil, give me the extent of your involvement with the outing club.
Well, Marcia and I moved to Brattleboro in the early 70s. And one of the reasons we moved to this area was that we just enjoyed doing so many outdoor-oriented type of activities, of which the outing club was involved in all of them. Tennis, skiing, to name the two primary things at that point in time. And then our kids came along, and we wanted to be very much a part of the outing club to give them, as well as other children, the opportunity to participate in some of these wonderful activities. So you've heard a couple of times Hogback mentioned, and Memorial Park mentioned. We had such a wonderful program for the kids to start from essentially nothing to where they would go to Memorial Park, get lessons, to the Buddy Werner League, and I'll talk about that in a minute, and then on to Maple Valley. And we miss those two type of activities because it really gave kids a wonderful opportunity to be able to learn something they could do for their lives.
Inexpensive opportunity, too.
Inexpensive, yeah.
Yes.
The Whites and the Hamiltons
Yeah.
basically let us
Yeah.
ski for nothing
Yeah.
on Saturday morning. They may have taken
Yeah.
something in the afternoon, but they skied, the kids didn't, it didn't cost a thing. And the environment up there, and I think it was mentioned in the previous session, was just so supportive. Parents and kids would go up, they'd have their race, they'd be able to ski all over the mountain, and then around 12:30 every Saturday, there would be an award ceremony. And at the award ceremony, every child got something. So they all felt like they were winners. And it was just, again, it was mentioned before, special and safe, and it's certainly where my kids learned to ski. And then we had the great cross-country program, the Billy Koch League at the country club. One of my involvements early on in the outing club before I became president was running the George Washington's ski race, which I think started up in Marlboro, went to Putney School, and then went to the outing club. And I can remember we had a mass start on the other side of the interstate from the country club, would go up towards the ski jump, towards the, is it the ice pond?
Yeah.
And then skied down. And if we didn't have a lot of snow, like Mary mentioned with the ski jump, before the event we had to shovel snow under the interstate, under the bridge on the interstate, so you could get to the other side.
Right.
And it was a wonderful event. We had, close to 1,000 people. It was a nice fundraiser, and it was fun. And I want to mention one more thing and then let someone else do it. The first time I ever saw a ski jump, I had done a certain amount of cross-country skiing and alpine. I had never been near a ski jump before. So my first year that I was here, I went to the ski jump. I heard something you have to go to. And I knew Phil Dunham because I played tennis with him during the summer. And Phil was about 30 years older than me, respectful man. So I go to the ski jump, and I couldn't believe these guys going, who would go down this thing? And then who would fly off of it? And someone, the announcer said, and here comes the flying dentist. I had no idea who the flying dentist was. And when I found out it was Phil Dunham, I said, oh my God, I know this guy. How could he do that? But it was really wonderful to be a part of and see it.
You've got to watch out for the quiet ones.
Yes. You got it.
Dave Quambley, you are the current president, and in the time we have left, a couple of programs I wanted to mention that haven't been mentioned are both row BOC and paddling. Could you give us an update on both of those?
Yes, I could. About 2 years ago, in 2008, we, with the help of a lot of other people, formed a row BOC program. And that program is located on the West River. We are renting the Quonset hut from the West River Marina. And we have a number of volunteers. And I will say one of the strengths of our club is the true volunteer nature that we have. Because without our volunteers, we wouldn't be able to have affordable rates and what have you. But to make a long story short, Tim Whitney initially approached the board about wanting to do a row program through the club. And to make a long story short, after he approached the board, I thought it was a great idea. Spoke to Graham King, who builds boats and is well known in the sculling area. And I knew Dennis Smith, and basically it just kind of fell into place that we were able to get a place right on the West River. We built docks. We had businesses like WW Building stepped up, donated material at cost, and we had like 3 docks built with volunteer help. And it was amazing. There was just an outpouring of support, and it was just a natural part of our and we added this program. And since we've added this program, we've acquired probably 8 boats. We have a lot of boat storage in the Quonset hut from the Putney Rowing Club. And this year, Graham King is in the process of organizing a pairs rowing event. Now, I'm not the best sculler, I can attest to that. However, I can tell you that there are going to be world-class scullers here in Brattleboro. I believe it's August 1st. You will hear more about this, but it really is just an amazing program. Some of the people have done a great job. Ann Latches is now heading up that committee. Tim Whitney does lessons. And what our vision is to really get more kids involved. We want at some point, it'd be great if that become a club program and eventually maybe a high school program. But I think it's just like the nature of all our programs. We really want to encourage younger people to get involved, and we want cost not to be an issue. So we're in the process of getting very active and getting the word out as to the programs that we have to offer. In regard to the paddling program, Larry McIntosh does a great job, and he has about 10 trips scheduled throughout New England, and again, kudos to Larry.
And in the 30 seconds or so we have left, time really does go fast. How can people find out more about the Brattleboro Outing Club and possibly look into membership and getting involved in these programs?
That's a great question. We have a new website that is up and operational, which is brattleborooutingclub.org, and you can go onto that website and find out information about all of our programs. And shortly, you will have the ability to enroll online as well. We are going to have an events calendar there, and we are in the process. I would like to thank Dee Dee Cummings and Dan Domkeller for their help in creating and designing our website. And you're going to find that we're going to be able to communicate very effectively with our membership, and we have a lot of exciting things going on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we really are out of time, and I'd like to thank you all for giving us this look into our past and into our future for the Brattleboro Outing Club. This is Tim Johnson. Thanks for watching. celebrating the rich history of Brattleboro with your Brattleboro Outing Club.